We have been saying for years that the global economy is very fragile, and that remains all too true. In this challenging global situation, Canada has fared well. A downturn that did not start here, hit us later than most, and affected us less. We emerged more quickly and in better shape than other developed economies. And we've accomplished so much as Canadians, together. We created over 1.2 million net new jobs since the depths of the downturn. These are overwhelmingly full-time, high-paying, private sector jobs. More Canadians are working today than at any time in our history. At 6.6%, Canada is now enjoying its lowest unemployment rate in 6 years. And Canadians are wealthier for their work. In fact, the Canadian middle class is among the richest in the developed world. Since taking office in 2006, we've been carefully crafting a more confident Canada. Confident in its prosperity, confident in its future, fulfilling the words of our national anthem, a true north, strong and free. Not since John Diefenbaker was Prime Minister over a half-century ago has the overall federal tax burden been this low. Canada's free trade network now touches every corner of the globe. I cannot overstate the importance of this to the Canadian economy. When our government took office in 2006, Canada had free trade agreements with 5 countries. That was not good enough for our country, where 60% of GDP and 1 in 5 jobs are tied to trade. Now we have free trade deals with 43 countries. The National Post called Canada a free trade empire that now covers the 2 largest markets in the world, Europe and the United States. Our government is expanding opportunity abroad, but even more importantly, building it here at home. According to KPMG, total business tax costs in Canada are now the lowest in the G7, 46% lower than in the United States. Bloomberg ranks us the 2nd most attractive place in the world to do business. These successes build the foundation for a thriving private sector, one that invests, grows, and creates jobs. And this is especially true for small business owners and entrepreneurs like many of you. Small businesses employ half of the working men and women in Canada's private sector. They account for 1/3 of our country's GDP. Small business owners should be spending time growing their businesses and creating jobs. They should not be choking on red tape and high taxes. So we cut the red tape, we cut the small business tax rate to 11% and increased the amount of income eligible for this lower rate. Together, these changes are providing small businesses with an estimated $2.2 billion in tax relief in 2014 alone. Then we introduced the Small Business Job Credit. This credit effectively lowers small businesses' employment insurance. 90% of businesses that pay employment insurance premiums are affected. About 780,000 in total will directly benefit. Friends, we are a strong nation with a promising future, but there is a lesson to be had from the Great Recession. Growth and prosperity cannot be taken for granted. This has been a hard lesson for many countries to learn. The Great Recession wreaked havoc on some of the world's strongest economies. At the same time, new economic powers are emerging who will account for over 90% of global growth over the next 25 years. They represent new markets and opportunity. They also represent fierce competition. So we confront a choice: to act, to create jobs, growth, and resilience in a competitive global economy, or risk long-term economic decline. So where does the path to prosperity lie? Through our low-tax plan for jobs and growth. These targeted, affordable measures are found in Canada's Economic Action Plan. Measures to keep taxes low for Canadian families and job creators. The equip Canadians with the skills they need to pursue the jobs they want, responsibly develop our natural resource wealth, invest in world-class research and innovation, reduce red tape and empower businesses, encourage trade and foreign investment, and make historic investments in infrastructure. These measures are built on a rock-solid foundation. Our government's commitment to return to balanced budgets in 2015. In the worst of the recession, Canada's deficit stood at over $55 billion. Today it has been reduced by over 90% to just over $5 billion, and it is continuing to fall. This year's deficit is expected to be $2.9 billion. Next year, we are projecting a balanced budget and then a surplus that will continue to grow in the years that follow, rising to over $13 billion by 2019-20. As I said, lower oil prices will adversely impact our federal government's fiscal situation, but the decline in oil prices will not prevent our government from achieving a budgetary balance in 2015-16. And this will be based on private sector economic forecasts, which is what we have always done in the past. There is nothing new here.